willing to testify. The woman accusing Supreme Court Justice nominee Brett Kavanaugh of sexual misconduct says she'll take the stand. But when?
The first day of fall is tomorrow, but it won't feel like it around here. Temperatures will remain hot. We'll let you know when it'll start to cool off.
Your Dirty Birds are taking on the Aints. That's a rivalry that goes back 50 years. Why do those fans dislike each other so much?
Live from the 11 Alive studio, Morning Rush starts now.
Okay, look at your screen. You see that? Those are straws, different colors. So do you want a straw? Well, you're gonna have to ask for it. At least that's the case in California. A new law forces restaurants to only pass out straws if you ask for it. Now this morning, we want to know, should Georgia do the same thing? Should they jump on board? Vote now in our 11 Live poll. Yeah, it's active right now. 11live.com/vote. Or you can go to our news app. What are the people saying? My eyeballs aren't that good.
Just give me a drink.
Just get me a drink, 41%. Yes, 43%, and then no, about 16%.
I said, just look. You can give me a biodegradable straw. Give me something. I just get grossed out trying to drink glasses.
There's no way.
I ain't
like
giving, I ain't
lips
giving
on
up.
the lips on the glass.
Yeah, I ain't giving up my crazy straw. No way.
What is it about the glass that you don't like?
Lipstick.
I question whether it is clean. I question whether it's clean.
So whatever's on the top of the glass, can't that fall into the drink?
Not if it's like on the.
You have a better chance of your ice being dirty than the glass.
Right.
See, I don't like drinks with ice.
See, y'all just,
we eat dirt, so that's how that works. We eat dirt, so we don't.
Let us know what you think, folks. Use the hashtag. Well, no, vote in here. The poll is still up.
Folks, we have temperatures in the 70s starting off this morning. A couple 60s out there as well. We got 68 degrees right now in Dalton, 65 over toward Clayton. That is the cool spot so far this morning. So it's a muggy start and we'll heat up nicely. Gonna give it a 9 out of a possible 11 today on the Wizometer. 90 for your afternoon high temperature. 9 because that's well above our average for this time of year. We should be in the low 80s, folks, and we won't see that until maybe like the end of next week. That's finally when we'll start to see that cooler air make it in, but our rain chances will go up. We'll detail that for you in the full forecast coming up. Crash Clark, how's my ride?
Oh, it's getting a little bit crowded out west, but first of all, some good news for folks that travel on MARTA. We had an earlier situation on the northbound platform at the medical center station. Deborah Tuff reporting about that sewage leak. Happy to say that's all been rectified, cleared up. Rail service is now operating normally in the area. Thank you to Stephanie Fisher from MARTA Communications for that email. All right, you're looking at some pretty slow drive on the West Expressway, and we found out why. It is a wreck, I-20 eastbound right around Lee Road. That's why everybody in front of Lee Road is just moving. So if you get on at Thornton Road, you're fine, but anything behind it, you're in trouble. There it is in the left lane right at Lee Road. Look at the backups here all the way past the mall. Might want to consider Highway 78 as an alternate. It's about 25, 30 minutes getting out of Douglasville right now, and we're still sitting in that left lane. Sheba?
The California professor accusing President Trump's Supreme Court nominee of sexual assault may end up testifying after all. Overnight, NBC News got a copy of an email from her lawyer spelling out what appears to be negotiations over how and when that might happen. Tracy Potts joining us from Capitol Hill with the latest. She's live. Good morning, Tracy.
Sheba, good morning. Here's what her lawyers are saying to the Senate Judiciary Committee Monday. No way, not going to happen. She can't get to D.C. Too busy dealing with death threats and trying to secure her family. Written testimony by this morning, not going to happen. But they say that's the only deal breaker. Interestingly, an FBI investigation before she starts answering questions. They still want it, but have not said that's a deal breaker to testimony that may now be considered next Thursday. She is also asking to limit cameras, subpoena Mark Judge, the friend who reportedly witnessed the assault. That's a no, reportedly from the committee, and making sure Kavanaugh is not in the room when she testifies. Sheba?
All right, Tracy, thank you. Back here in Atlanta, changing street names in Grant Park, creating a heated conversation. The city council is considering renaming streets that reference the city's Civil War past. Jennifer Leslie joining us live now from Grant Park with more on that public hearing last night.
Sheba, this is one of three streets with Confederate in the name that could be renamed to Confederate Avenue, Soldiers Avenue, or United Avenue. Last night's meeting at City Hall was a listening session only. There was no vote and only 2 council members were present. The current renaming push started after a white supremacist rally turned deadly in Charlottesville, Virginia last year that put a new target on these street names with very strong feelings on both sides.
Where does it end, folks? Where does this end of our civilization being destroyed?
We must not honor symbols of hate and division.
This is censorship of the worst kind.
It's something we need to do. It's something that's good for the city.
75% of residents who live on these streets would have to approve a name change. There's another meeting on Tuesday. It's a public hearing before the City Council Utilities Committee, Sheba.
All right, Jen, thank you. Remember that cyber attack on Atlanta City Hall? Well, 6 months later, drivers who received traffic tickets during the breach, they're still confused about how to pay those ticks. Well, this morning, we have the solution.
It's not lost. They're not having a penalty right now. No warrants have gone out. They just simply haven't gotten a court date reset yet.
Back in March, hackers took over the city of Atlanta's computer system and demanded $51,000. The court's communications director saying anyone who received a citation between March 22nd and June 10th can pay their ticket online starting October 1st.
This is just something that we're really excited about, to get people the opportunity to pay online, adjudicate their case, get it closed out, and move on.
Thank you, Jesus.
An emotional meeting that almost never happened.
Thank you, Lord. You're all I had.
MARTA bus driver Winston Douglas saved Terry Bradley's life.
I was thinking, why is he behind her with a knife? And by that time, he started stabbing her.
Douglas, jumping off his bus, grabbed a piece of wood and swung at her attacker. The suspect, identified as Gerald Jones, is now behind bars. Bradley, covered in stitches, says she has no idea who he is.
Dansby's gonna score.
The Braves securing a win against the Phillies, pushing them closer to clinching a playoff spot.
The Braves waking up this morning, their magic number now 4. They handled business in Game 1. Now they are just 2 wins away this weekend from clinching the NL East. They're just focused on getting the W later on today in Game 2 of that series. And if they can do that, that magic number will then shrink to just 2, and they will be 1 win away from clinching the division for the first time since 2013.
Go Braves, we're rooting for you guys. 6:36 right now, that is your Rush Block. California now the first state in the nation banning restaurants from offering plastic straws unless people request them. Lawmakers say it is better for the environment. So the question this morning, should Georgia do the same? Liza Lucas is tracking your reaction from the bridge. What are people saying, Liza?
Well, some people who actually work in some restaurants in Georgia say they've already started to make a shift. Now, are all of you on board with the idea? That remains to be seen. Head over to 11alive.com/vote. Weigh in this morning on our live poll about whether you think Georgia should follow California's lead. The California governor basically said that this is a small step, a small ask of customers to have to ask for their own straws, and it would apply to dine-in restaurants only. It's set to start at the beginning of next year, and the restaurant industry was pretty much on board. There's been no pushback in terms of the new bill, but what do you guys think? Well, you've been tweeting this morning using the hashtag, and Mr. Reynolds says he likes the idea of phasing out plastic straws, and then people at home could use reusable if they like. Other people saying limiting's a good step, better than banning outright, and bring up the notion that people with disabilities require plastic straws, and that's the real story here. What will happen when they don't have a suitable alternative? And Sheba, people joining you this morning saying, oh, I'm good with it until I see that lipstick mark around the glass. Then I'm out the door. Back to plastic.
Yes, exactly. I've had this long theory about water glasses in particular before the straw became an environmental issue. And again, I'm supportive of using biodegradable straws, but we need straws. So I don't know what goes on in the kitchen, right? But we all know what goes on in our own kitchen. And the water glass, I'm not sure if it's given the same tender loving care as the other glasses, because it is a water glass, and the assumption is it's just water, right? And just rinse it and go. I know some folks put it in the dishwasher, but we don't know what goes on in restaurant kitchens, and I don't even want to know.
Well, I mean, I used to work in the restaurants
what
back
goes
in the
on
day,
in the
so
restaurant
I actually
kitchen.
do know. Let me ask you this: if somebody brings you a water with a straw already in it, will you drink it?
Yes, but they have the little paper on top.
If there's no paper on top. If there's no paper on top, because many times we've been at a restaurant and they'll give you a glass and a straw. And remember, they're taking that straw with their hands, bare hands, and putting them in the water. And they also tell you probably the dirtiest part, not just the ice, Chesley, as we mentioned, the lemons.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about that.
The outside, they're not cleaned, and you put the lemon in the glass.
Goodness.
All that bacteria from them handling the lemons goes right in that water.
I always squeeze mine in, but if you get some bacteria on that. If they bought you a glass and it had some lipstick on it, and they gave you a straw, you still would send that glass back.
Yes.
Because the glass is not clean.
Correct.
So, I mean, but you're still thinking it's filthy, even if it looks clean.
Sometimes you see remnants of it as the meal is going on, right? It's like the faintest line.
And you've already taken a sip
and
or
it's
two.
like,
I just think it's good for us to move in that direction,
yes,
right? I mean,
absolutely.
You know, because not everyone uses their straw. They just throw them away. But if you request them, then that means you want them, and maybe we'll use half of them, because these guys just throw theirs away.
Well, they make you, there's a guilt associated with asking for it. You know, just the other day I went to lunch and I felt guilty by asking for a straw. I want a biodegradable straw, but I think that, you know, we should...
No straw shaming.
Bottled water. Just ask for bottled water.
We want you to keep Lord,
bottled water.
Where did that bottle come from?
Voting in our live poll. It's Friday.
That's
on 11live.com/vote. Also vote in our news app as well, and we'll keep it up for the rest of the morning. I tell you what, these folks and their straws, you literally just had an entire conversation on. All right. All right, now it's time to talk about what's going on in other news. Killer Mike's barbershop at a bar. You heard me, a bar on the floor level behind the basket. That is just one of the new highlights in the newly renovated home of the Atlanta Hawks. Now, we've known it as the Phillips Arena. I've grown up calling it the Phillips Arena, but now it's being called the State Farm Arena. And y'all, it is bigger and better. Take a look at these renovations. So they're still putting the finishing touches on everything, but there will be a new scoreboard in the center that's 3 times the size of the old one. A few other features, a restaurant from singer Zach Brown, and premium seating. And Killer Mike had a lot of input on the changes.
We worked closely with Mike on the overall design of this space, and he is super talented. He and his entire team, myself and the architect, actually went over to the swag shop down the street. I got my hair cut, and we worked with Mike and his team on really what was their vision for this space? And I think we've captured it and made it come to life.
Let us see that haircut. The renovation price, $200 million. The arena will seat about 16,000 folks for the Atlanta Hawks game. It's going to be good. Okay, so the future of passports is here, people. Atlanta-based Delta Airlines is launching the nation's first ever biometric terminal at the world's busiest airport. So what the heck does that mean, Francesca? I got you. So the airplane, or the airline, will allow passengers to use their faces as passports in the international terminal. Passengers flying on Delta between Atlanta and other countries can actually use the technology at check-in, security checkpoint, at boarding, and at customs processing. It's for passengers flying on Delta between Hartsfield and other countries. Pretty cool, right? Still ahead, a top voice contestant is making her way around Metro Atlanta. We are talking with the Kyla J from season 14 about her time on the show.
And it is a rivalry dating back 50 years, and it's going down this weekend. The Falcons taking on the Saints, but why is there so much beef between the two teams? Our Y guy explains.
I can tell you. We're looking at 90 for an afternoon high temperature. One thing you need to know right now, it's going to be another hot afternoon. Fall starts tomorrow. Will it get cooler? We'll talk about it coming up.
One thing you want to know about that ride, it is a mess out on the West Expressway. Getting brand new word for a crash I-20 eastbound on the ramp to 285 northbound. And we're still dealing with trouble I-20 eastbound at Lee Road. Double trouble west side. We'll talk about it when we come right back.